Okay, so this is my yearly Hollywood rant. Yes, I do them like once every year, but this year I'm really not looking forward to how the movie industry is going to do. And there are many reasons why I say that. I mean, yes, there are some good movies I know that are going to come out this year. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Star Wars Episode 8, and a few other movies. But the reason why I'm doing this rant is because I am supremely frustrated with how Hollywood has been making their movies as of late. And they're making a lot of simple mistakes. They're repeating their mistakes that they've made over the past few years, and a lot of it has to do with not listening to the moviegoers. And here's why I say this. I mean, there are a lot of movies out there that I don't even bother watching because I know they're going to suck big time. And I know Hollywood is saying, well, you movie geeks, you know, the hardcore movie audience, they're such a small audience, they don't really matter. Well, guess what, Hollywood executives? We know exactly what we want to see. We're not stupid. We know what's a good movie to see and what isn't. How do you think movies do so good in the theaters? They do good by word of mouth because people like me and Jeremy Johns and a few other movie reviewers know exactly what a good movie is and what isn't. So don't tell us what's good and what's not. We're the ones that's going to make that decision, not you, not these award shows like the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards and all these other award shows that don't even mean a dang thing anymore. All they do is glamorize a whole bunch of rated R movies that hardly anyone has ever seen before. We know what's good, so don't tell us we don't know what's good for people. We do know. On to my next point. There are a lot of movie types that I feel need to be discontinued because in general, they do not do good as well critically or in the box office. And I've even compiled a list of movie types that I do not want to see anymore. The following movie types are types that need to be discontinued permanently, period. Middle school and high school dramas. They have no place on the silver screen. They have no place on the big screen. Maybe they have a place on TV, but as far as in the movie industry, they have absolutely no place. If they want to make a whole bunch of TV shows, the middle school and high school dramas, I have no problem with that. Next up, fairy tale or mythological retellings. I mean, oh my goodness, how do they keep making these kind of movies? I mean, they do movies like Jack the Giant Slayer and Snow White, hate retellings, and all these other ones, and it's like no one wants to watch them. They're amongst the worst movies Hollywood could even conceive. I mean, even last year, Gods of Egypt, that was one of the worst movies according to a whole bunch of movie reviewers. I mean, no one asked for that movie, and the reviews show. Why do you even make these movies? And they say, well, the critics are wrong. We ain't wrong, so don't tell us how to think. We'll make that decision ourselves. Next point, horror movies. Pretty much every conceivable concept in the horror genre has been explored. I mean, we don't want to see all these rehashed horror movies that with concepts that we've seen 100 billion times. I mean, the horror movie industry, the horror genre cannot offer us anything new. So don't give us those anymore. Next up, remakes in general. If people want to see these old movies, I mean, they can see them on DVD or on TV or whatever. We don't need to see them be remade and tell the story all over again with your own twist on it. I mean, we don't need that. We can see the old movies, and they're just as good because they stand the test of time. Next up, unwanted sequels. I think this pretty much speaks for itself. And there are a whole bunch of sequels that are being made or are being planned out that no one wants to see. I mean, Fantastic Four. I mean, no one wants to see Fantastic Four get a sequel. No one wanted the Fantastic Four to be remade. It did horrible in the box office. It did horrible critically. And yet they announced they're going to make another Fantastic Four movie. What kind of sense does that make? Fantastic Four is one of those few Marvel franchises that does not do well with movie adaptations. Another unwanted sequel we don't want to see. We don't want to see a third Independence movie. Yeah, we don't want to see a third Independence Day movie because the second one absolutely sucked. It didn't even make half the money that the original Independence Day made. I mean, come on. We don't want to see that. And next month, 50 Shades Darker? I mean, come on. Why would anyone want to see a sequel to the absolute worst movie of 2015? It makes absolutely no sense. Why are you giving us these unwanted sequels? If people don't want to see these sequels, don't make them. Plain and simple. Next up, movies with a political message. I think this speaks for itself as well because people go to the movies so that they can temporarily escape from reality, not to be reminded of it. They go to movies to relieve their stress. They go to movies to be entertained, not to be lectured on some political message that they don't want anything to do with. So why are you giving us these kind of movies? Next up, live action anime adaptations. These never do well. And if you don't believe me, watch Dragon Ball Evolution. Watch The Last Airbender. Those absolutely suck. I mean, come on. Anime should stay anime. It should not be live action because it's just incompatible. I mean, if they make anime movies, fine. But if they make live action anime movies, we don't want to see those. I mean, and now there's plans that there's going to be a live action Pokemon movie. I know for a fact that is going to absolutely bomb, both critically and in the box office. Why? Because no one wants to see live action adaptations of Pokemon. We prefer the animated movies. We prefer the anime movies of them. And last but not least, and I think this is the biggest one of them all, video game adaptations. Last year, 2016, was one of the worst years for video game adaptations because when it came to a whole bunch of video game movies, they just could not deliver at all. Ratchet & Clank, Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, they were all hyped up to be great video game movies, but guess what? They didn't do well at all. I mean, they hyped up Assassin's Creed as the best video game adaptation movie of all time, but guess what? It didn't deliver. Because another thing why these video game movies don't deliver is because they do not stay true to the source material. And I know there have been some video game movies I said I'd like to see happen, but only if it stays true to the source material. And it seems like the only studio that can stay true to the source material is Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, Final Fantasy XV Kingsglaive. I mean, Square Enix did a great job with those. And basically, if you leave the video game movies to the video game companies, because they seem to be the only ones to know what they're doing with them. I mean, with me, I want to see a do I want to see a Kingdom Hearts movie? Absolutely. Do I want to see a Kingdom Hearts movie made by Hollywood? Absolutely not. Because I know they'll end up blowing it. They'll end up straying from the source material. They'll put their own spin on it. I don't want to see that happen. I'd rather see Square Enix make a Kingdom Hearts movie because I know they will not blow it. So that pretty much does it for my views on what movies should not be made anymore. I mean, and another thing I'd like to point out is Hollywood really needs to get better writers because a lot of the movies that were released last year just were not on point. Case in point, Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, the writing for that movie was horrible. I expected Independence Day Resurgence to blow my mind. You know, the trailer got me hyped up, and what happened when I went to go see it in the theaters? It disappointed me big time. I mean, how is that possible? They had 20 years to make a great sequel to Independence Day, and what do? They absolutely blow it. The first Independence Day was awesome. The sequel to it, it absolutely sucked, and I am not looking forward to the third Independence Day movie because I know they're going to blow that one as well. It's like, come on, Hollywood. You can hire better writers. And I know some people of Hollywood executives are saying, well, we're hiring the best people we can. You obviously aren't, because the writers of these movies don't know how to write good movies anymore. Do you know who knows how to write good movies? I'll give you a hint. I've been saying it over the years. The independent author community. Because the independent authors that I have read on Amazon.com can tell far greater stories than these mainstream Hollywood writers ever could. So you need to hire these independent authors, because I guarantee you, if you do, your product is going to be a lot better. You're going to make a lot more money. And pretty much, you're going to look back and say, why did we even hire all these mainstream writers who wrote bad movies to begin with? We independent authors know how to tell good stories. I mean, we don't want to see some queasy, stomach-churning romance like 50 Shades of Grey or 50 Shades Dark or whatnot. It's like, come on, if I want to see a good romance movie, it's like take a look at what Disney did with Robin Hood like 45 years ago. I mean, Robin Hood by Disney, I mean, that told pretty much the best romance story ever. That beat out Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and pretty much any other Disney romance you can think of. Robin Hood by Disney did it right in every way. And I mean, if you're looking for decent romance writers, I mean, just look at the independent author community. Sybil Isley. She's like the best romance author that I've ever read from. And all these other action movies, I mean, come on. I mean, it's like they can't do good action movies anymore. I mean, aside from this superhero genre, you know, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's like, and aside from Star Wars and a couple others, it's like they can't do action anymore in a good way. Because I'll tell you what, once the Marvel Cinematic Universe is done, once Star Wars is done, once a few other movies are done, that's a wrap for me. I'm done with Hollywood. And it's gonna be sad because you continue to make all these dumb decisions and make all these stupid movies. I'm gonna lose something that I really love. And you know what? I'm gonna find another outlet to feed off of. And you're saying, and I know you're probably gonna say, well, you don't have the guts to do it. Well, guess what? I did it with Major League Baseball. I did it with the National Hockey League. I did it with WWE and TNA. I will not have a problem doing it with Hollywood when the time comes. For all of you who are watching this video, please post this video on the Facebook pages of all the Hollywood executives. Post this video wherever you can. My job is to make sure that Hollywood in general hears this, understands this, and hopefully takes this message to heart. We want original movies with good writing that are decent for everyone to see, that can basically give us great entertainment overall. And basically all the movies types I've listed that we don't want to see, we want to see them done away with. So thank you very much for watching. Please get this message out as soon as you can. And I hope to see you next time.